Hello, hello, hello. I am Gavin. This is Kerbal Space Program, and today I'm going to be continuing my career mode playthrough. Let's jump in and build ourselves a rocket. So in last mode I was able to get a suborbital hop, which basically for any of you non-rocketry people, and me, because I'm not a rocketry people, I didn't know this until someone told me, but that means that you go straight up and then you come straight back down. Not really straight, because you do the sort of parabola thingy, but you know what I mean. So that got us enough science to unlock some more parts. Most importantly, my stacked decouplers, which are pretty useless, but I enjoy them. And that gave me the confidence to go for a lander. So I don't want to land on anything. I was hoping that I could use it to more safely touch down after my orbital run. My real goal with this rocket is to get into orbit. Nothing fancy like going to the moon or anything else. Just want to get to orbit. I decided to try to put some solid fuel boosters on this thing, which I think was its downfall. I had this clever idea that I could use two boosters since I don't have the radial decouplers yet. I could use the two boosters on the sides coupled with the main engine for steering. And then I could use up the fuel in those and then ditch it and then set up the next stage and use the fuel, use the radials and fuel on that to get into close orbit and then use the teeny little engine on the lander there to finish up getting into orbit. And I definitely want to bring along my new scientific equipment, the weird canisters of goo. So, I named my craft Orbit. Question mark. Make sure Jebediah is there. We have no idea if this is going to work. I'm pretty bad at building some of the rockets in this game. I had a lot of trouble learning the game. I still have not successfully landed on anything without an atmosphere, even outside of my career play. So I don't have high hopes for the rest of this series. Now things were loading very slowly. I have figured out how to fix that. So, in future things should run a little more smoothly than this, but I think this rocket really has some stability issues. Immediately start turning to the left, and, yeah, or right, left or right. I think it's the right, maybe? Might be on the Kerbal's left. Anyway, my rocket starts to tip, and starts to tip badly. So badly. And I really don't know. I'm leaning on the stick to try to get it to turn. Can't get it to go. Decided to run a couple experiments and try to salvage the operation. So the goo is jiggling. And then things start to break. I start to decouple and hit engines in hopes of shaking loose and actually getting somewhere. I think that's actually what completely destabilizes the flight. I should have let those burn out, but I decided to panic. And there's an idyllic scene below me, apparently. So detaching the lander, letting the rest of the rocket fly off towards the surface, trying to get the parachute to deploy, and maybe salvage the landing. Instead, the parachute comes off, lower the landing legs, just for the heck of it, and we crash and burn. Or crash and splash, as the case may be. Clearly this rocket has some design flaws that we need to address. So I'm not sure what made it turn over like that, but obviously we just need to put all the freaking engines in one place. I wanted to put them higher up so that the center of gravity would work better, even though it'll be more weight to carry later on. I like to have the higher center of gravity on the thing because it makes it more stable. With the thrust there, the higher thrust, the thrust being above the center of gravity, I think makes the craft steer a little better and not lean quite so much. And since I don't have anything to steer at this stage, I think that's really the biggest challenge with these career mode unlocks is initially you don't have what you need to steer. The only thing that can provide you torque is your engine vectoring and the and the motion of your command pod. Your command pod has limited energy. You don't have solar panels, you don't have batteries, you don't have anything to make it better. You're basically just counting on their one command pod to make it go. So checking on our mystery goo as we get up into orbit, as it jiggles and wobbles, apparently. Still heading to orbit. Things do seem to be slowing down quite a bit, but ideally we can get this thing to orbit, even though it does start tilting rather alarmingly. Still tilting fairly alarmingly, but everything's almost out of fuel. So hopefully we'll be able to fix that in a little bit. And we're almost through the lower atmosphere, which is where I like to be when I run out of fuel. If I can't get up past, or nearly past the lower atmosphere on my first stage, I generally can't get into orbit. I think that's a problem with me. Well, not necessarily the first stage, but if I'm not above the lower atmosphere when I get to my main stage, I'm not going to achieve orbit. I think that might be a personal failing, but it's true. So we're actually doing pretty well. We've got a full engine, and our apoapsis is already at 20. Excuse me. Apoapsis is already at 20, so I'm fairly confident that we can make orbit, even though we're running out of fuel very quickly. I think the problem is the extra weight from those empty solid fuel boosters really slows this thing down. But making it pretty high, we're going to get out of the atmosphere for the most part, looks like. And especially with the teeny engine here, it gives great thrust, actually. If you have a small craft, these very small engines give a lot of thrust in there. Not terrible with their fuel efficiency. You can get quite a lot out of them. Definitely not just for landing. This one is running out rather alarmingly, but still might be able to make it into orbit, since I've got half a tank, but we still have another 10,000 or so feet. So now our apoapsis is finally out of the atmosphere, messing with the maneuver nodes, maybe, but everything's all weird and turned about, and, you know, we got rotated in a really weird place. But we're definitely going to be out of the atmosphere, which is what's nice and what matters. Really, anything above that is considered a success for me. And setting up our horrible orbital trajectory. I just want it there so I can kinda see which direction I should be pointing, since the ships all turn around and weird. But, yeah, I'm not really trusting I'm so bad at some of these nodes, especially setting up orbit. First time I ever played the game, I spent so long trying to set up my orbital node, it just, my ship crashed. So really just trying to wing it, and way past our apoapsis. Overshooting, trying to get as much distance as possible out of this orbit, but really just not enough fuel to make it, unfortunately. So, running out of fuel. Thankfully, we ran out of fuel before we reached orbit. That would have been embarrassing, because we would have had him stuck up there forever, with no docking ports, no chance of bringing him down. But our mystery goo is in orbit, and we can get our mystery goo and crew reports and all of our science going. Now it's just a matter of waiting until we get back down through the atmosphere. So, I'm hoping that I can drop on one of these continents. Unfortunately, I don't have any control anymore, since, you know, the lack of thrust from the engines. Oh. But really, it's just the long, slow fall. And with the lag being what it has been in this newest version of the program, this was a long, slow fall. I think, for your benefit and mine, we're going to try to speed things up a little here. Now at 3 times speed for the final descent, because it was moving just so slowly. And trying to do science as we go. You probably couldn't catch that with the on the fast forward, but the goo gets really cold, apparently, when you're re-entering the atmosphere. I don't know why. I was hoping for something more interesting, like the goo is boiling, or yeah, just something along those lines. Yeah, really just trying to align myself on my retrograde, slow down in the atmosphere. I want to get down under 200 meters a second before I open my chute, because I have heard that that's going to make it less likely to explode. Lowering the landing gear, even though we're going to land on water, so I don't know what good that is expected to do. And now it's just waiting a couple more seconds until we drop under the 200 meter a second mark, deploy the chute, and just wait for it to float down. Now I am over the water, which I find unfortunate. I was hoping to land on a continent so that I could get some soil samples, improve my science. I will be able to get a water sample, but if I remember, I think I got a water sample last time. Now just wait, make sure that my chute does not rip this thing apart, which has been a problem in the past, as we've seen. I'm still not exactly sure what makes that happen sometimes, because the other time that it did rip completely apart, it was going under, well under 200 meters a second, but that was coming off of a catastrophic rocket crash, so who knows? Who knows? And we're almost at splashdown. Slowly coming down. This was intolerable to wait through, I can tell you. I'll be glad that shit watching it accelerated. So, finally get to splashdown, and all of my landing legs and other parts start bobbing around me because my fuel tank exploded for whatever reason. So get another crew report. It's not going to be different for some whatever reason. I was hoping it would be. That we can get out and get our EVA report, maybe get some water samples, go for a nice swim. And now, for whatever reason, the game still thinks that I'm flying. The game won't let me go back to the Space Center to retrieve my craft. So, I'm trying just everything I can think of, advancing game time a little bit, trying to let it settle, just hitting the button multiple times. Everything's lagging so badly, it's difficult to tell what's going on at this point. I finally just tried twisting my pod over so it's not sitting vertically, and the game seems to like that okay. So we're finally going to get home. It's not going to let me pick science because it's running slowly. So I will come get the science next time. Let me just say for now that I'm Gepwin. I hope you enjoy these. I know this episode didn't go quite to plan, but I hope you've been enjoying it. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever you feel like. I am Gepwin. I will choose sciencey things, and I will see you soon.